So we'd like to move on to Miss Juanita Burjins from South Africa, Cape Town, who's a consultant in the holistic compliance solution. She's embracing lifelong learning in a rapidly changing world. So without further ado, Miss Juanita Burjins. Yes, ma'am, we see your screen. You're on mute. Thank you.
Are you seeing my screen?
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Juanita Burjins. As mentioned earlier, I'm a consultant, but I've got 9 years experience of working in higher education. So my presentation will be based on higher education and also the workplace or the working with small businesses and the sector education and training authorities. Embracing lifelong learning in a rapid changing world. The opening statement from Alan, he's a writer. He quotes, "The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance." Because if you are going to resist change, there will be no impact and your organization or yourself will stagnate. I'm just going to close my video because I've got internet problems. Okay, so my role at the university was to obviously recruit graduates. And part of the recruiting graduates was also doing the induction with the graduates as well. Now, the perception from a graduate is that if they graduate from a university, they're free from learning and not realizing that learning starts in the workplace. That is where you gain the experience and the skills. So continuous learning is an essential aspect of personal as well as professional development in the individual as well as in an organization. It should be a lifelong pursuit that extends beyond the classroom. The importance of continuous learning cannot be overstated in today's fast-paced world and with a rapid change. And then we look at the increase in the pace of technology, social and technical. It enables individuals to adapt to this ever-changing world, as well as to the job market. It boosts their self-confidence and it builds a meaningful social network. So that I'm just trying to the next screen. Okay. With regard to technological advancements, examples that are utilized is AI, automation, blockchain. We also have cybersecurity, Internet of Things, and 3D printing. And the impact of technological advancements is that there are changes in job markets, there are new opportunities and challenges. Now, the benefits of technological advancements is that you have access to information, there is improved communication, you can collaborate and network, and it's added technology. The challenges, however, is that there are privacy concerns, there is information integrity, there is cybersecurity threats, and there could be digital divide. If we look at in South Africa, with regard to technological advancements with the privacy concerns and information integrity, our Department of Justice was fined 5,000 million with regard to, because there was a breach with Poppy. Now the technological solutions for the future. One of them is eradicating mass hunger. There is advances in genetic engineering and farming methods, and this will grow crops cheaply, more efficiently, and more food will be available. And this is already happening in China, Mexico, and Argentina. Then providing quality education. People have access to higher education. If we look in the world today, there are more universities than there was 20 or 30 years ago. Students can learn everywhere or anywhere and anytime. We have various online platforms. We've got the LinkedIn platform, which we had at the university for all staff. We have Bookboon, where you can download as many books and as well as have access to training. There's also an online platform, Anderson, which is free for everyone to access. Then in the economic shifts, we have examples is the gig economy. And that is where you can work flexible, you can become an independent contractor, and you can freelance. And examples of that gig economy is Upwork, Uber Technologies, as well as Fiverr. And then lastly, the obviously remote work. The need for economic shifts is there need to be adaptability, and you need to have new skill sets. Then with regard to social changes, examples of that is diversity. Not only diversity, equity and inclusivity, as well as globalization. Culture and social institutions are transforming. If we can remember previously, women were not allowed to study. And I think there are probably more women nowadays that are studying. And then the impact is there's a need for cultural competence and soft skills. If we look at in university and organizations, we have various cultures working, and leaders have to adapt in order to work with the different cultures in an organization. They need to have specific skills like agility. They need to have change management skills, emotional intelligence, strategic, as well as forward-thinking skills. If we look at personal growth, there should be continuous self-improvement and fulfillment, as well as enhancing cognitive abilities and keeps the mind sharp. Then when we look at career advancement, lifelong learning has become a necessity for thriving in your career or in any career in order to stay relevant in your field, and it opens doors to new career opportunities. The workplace landscape is dynamic, with job roles transforming and new skills in demand. And in the workplace, constantly job profiles have to be adapted to the new skills that becomes relevant. You have to hone and acquire skills needed to excel in your profession. And that can also be done by attending conferences, seminars, webinars, and as well as online learning. And organizations need to adapt to this. If you ask, I use an example, if you ask any manager, what are the challenges that they currently have in the workplace? They would tell you they are struggling to stay afloat because there's one crisis after the other. And this results that they are struggling because they do not know how to stay afloat. Now, when we look at the metaphor of staying afloat, what does it mean? It means when you sail a boat, you do not fight the water, you use the power of the water to stay afloat. Now, how do organizations stay afloat? How do they make sure that their boats are solid on the water and their staff are equipped and with continuous learning? When we look at strategies for lifelong learning, firstly, we need to set goals for ourselves. We need to define what you want to learn and why do you want to learn it. Is it for career advancement? Is it for individual development? Then you need to create a roadmap with short-term and long-term goals. You also need to look at leveraging technology. There's online platforms, Coursera, Udemy, Khan Academy. Then there are mobile apps and tools for continuous learning. You also have to embrace various learning methods, be it formal education, a degree, or informal learning, online tutorials and webinars. If we look at I'm referring to South Africa again. Our landscape has changed tremendously. We have the different seaters, the 21 seaters, and they have specific constituencies that they align their training with these various constituencies. Now, what has happened now recently, not recent, I think it's 4 years ago, the landscape has changed tremendously because the requirement for learning has changed. People do not want to learn 3, 4, 5 years. They want to get or upskill themselves in the shortest time as possible. So what we have currently in South Africa is the Quality Council for Trade and Occupations. They have taken over the training that the CETAs has performed previously. So their goal is to align all training to occupations. So you have various occupations, whereas I'm going to use an example where you had to study in a degree in human resources. They now have an occupational for a recruitment manager or a recruitment officer. So your focus, you specialize in that field. And then building a learning routine, dedicate time daily or weekly for learning, incorporate learning into daily activities. Then overcoming challenges with regard to continuous learning. The first one is time management, balancing learning with other responsibilities. Some of us are working and we still need to upskill ourselves, and we can only do that after hours. So tips for that is prioritize and have an effective schedule in place. Stay motivated, find your passion and interests, and set milestones and celebrate your achievements, even if it's small achievements. Dealing with information overload, filtering, and focus on relevant content, and use structured learning paths. I'm going to refer to case studies and examples, personal success stories, examples of individuals who embrace lifelong learning and succeeded. I'm going to use myself as an example. As I mentioned earlier, I worked at the university for 9 years as the head of leadership and development. I've since retired, but not retired because learning doesn't stop for me. I continuously need to upskill myself. And that is how I stay relevant, because as mentioned, I'm now a consultant. So I need to inform my organizations that I'm consulting with on the new skills and technologies that are currently available. Then an example of organization that I can refer to, I've actually read about it and I'm going to refer to you. It's Standard Chartered is a company. It's a bank and financial company, and they're based in London. So they have gone from looking at future skills, from reskilling to redeployment and going beyond. And that is basically continuous learning. So they serve a customer of they are 85,000 employees, and they have 150 markets worldwide. They obviously had to adapt and change their technology and their way of doing things. And this has been brought about that clients started also demanding greater personalization, 24/7 access, and improved customer services. And in order for them to improve their competitiveness and productivity, they had to rely on harnessing these trends to service their customers.
Mrs. Juanita,
yes.
Reaching end. Sorry to interject you there. We'll need to wrap up shortly.
Okay. Based on that, they embarked on training their staff and upskilling them instead of recruiting new talent. Their way forward was to upskill their staff in the new technology. I'm just going to stop there. Then the key points of lifelong learning, and Okay, just a recap of the key points that we've covered is obviously the benefits of lifelong learning, the challenges we face, and how we can address lifelong learning and strategize. Then lastly, in closing, I just want to quote from an online marketing executive, Prashant Shrivastava. He said, as we navigate the uncharted territories of the 21st century, the importance of lifelong learning cannot be overstated. It is not a luxury reserved for the academically inclined. It is a fundamental tool for personal and professional survival in a rapid changing world. In essence, it is not a choice, but an essential investment in a future defined by continuous transformation and reinvention. Where are we finding ourselves today? Have we set aside time to learn new skills? What is changing in your environment or in the organization? Do you have the binoculars to foresee what is going to happen in the future? Are there new skills that we need to implement, or do we need to upskill staff? We have to prepare and continue to assess ourselves. If we are not going to be agile to change, very soon our ship will sink. And I'm just going to briefly talk about the Titanic. For those of you that know about the Titanic was one of the biggest ships that sank. And it was always said that no ways is this ship going to sink, because this is the biggest ship that they currently is. But why did the ship sink? The ship sank because staff was not trained. The binoculars that was utilized to foresee where they were going to was locked in a cabinet. The captain had it and he locked it in the cabinet and he was off duty. The second in charge person had all the skills. In fact, he had the best qualifications, but he did not have the skills to work on that boat and to foresee how the ship was sailing. Because what happened with the boat, they went, instead of going head on in the iceberg, they went around the iceberg. Had he known what the strength of the boat was, he would have gone head on. And the same with us today. Instead of going head forward course and accepting change, we try to go around and divert and not implement change in the workplace and continuous learning. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Mrs. Juanita Burjins. Certainly a nice way to end that there. We definitely have to be informed to make the right decisions, and that's where we are heading. So we can possibly take some questions after the last session.